Welcome to decentralized.tv here on Brighteon.com. I'm Mike Adams with my co-host today, Todd Pittner, and we have a returning guest today, Jason Crowe from the QORTAL project, with a major announcement where we have now ported, with his help, considerable help, we'll talk about that. We've ported Brighteon.com to QORTAL. So Brighteon.com now runs not full featured, but a lot of the most important features in a decentralized peer-to-peer fashion. So that's the topic today. Let me bring in Todd Pittner, my co-host, and welcome you, Todd, to the show. Are you looking forward to this one?
I am. I can't wait to ask my first question, Mike.
Yeah, what is it?
Well, I needed a little 101 because not everybody has had the benefit of taking the deep dives following what you have already produced with Jason. So, Jason, as I understand it, QORTAL is a decentralized, peer-to-peer encrypted, censorship-free internet. It's, if I have it right, completely digital infrastructure replacement for what we know today as the internet, including communications, data, web, and application hosting. So, my first question is, have you ever heard of the term BHAG?
No, I have not.
I think I might have dated one in high school.
I don't know. Wait till I tell you.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Jason, a BHAG is short for big, hairy ass goal. So,
oh, that's different. Okay.
I was just thinking about you because I have been binging on a lot of your interviews from YouTube and other places, Brighteon, of course. And I'm just like thinking, man, this guy woke up one morning with this BHAG that was like, yeah, I'm going to build and deploy a brand new private internet. How did that happen, Jason? What inspired you?
Yeah, basically, so I got into the crypto space back in 2013 when I consider it to be, that was when everything was actually legitimate, right? Like there were no ICOs going on. People would laugh at you if you tried to launch a project with an ICO. And so I got into the space at that time. I started by learning what blockchain was. Then I got into mining because I was a hardware guy and I had a bunch of hardware. I was like, whoa, I can make, these digital coins by mining with this hardware. And fast forward, I was like, okay, I like the blockchain technology. That's really cool. An unstoppable, immutable ledger. It keeps going forward. Everybody shares it. That's great, right? Mm-hmm. That is going to run everything in the future. But there was no project that was taking it to the next level, that was saying, we're going to use this not just for money, but we're going to use this for everything. We're going to use this to replace the entire digital infrastructure. And that is, yeah, it's a lofty goal, but that is what I wanted to accomplish. And then in 20...
What a BHAG.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's a hell of a BHAG.
Oh, I know, right? Yeah. It is not a simple task. Like, so I've been literally working on this project since then. So it's been over 10 years for me. The actual development of the project started with another project that was called Quora. And this project had the ability to do web hosting and data storage, but they launched the project really stupidly. They had all these problems. They also used the chain to store the data. And I immediately thought, how could you do that? Like, that's not scalable. There's no way that a single full node is ever going to be able to store the entirety of the internet. So it just didn't make any sense, right? But the concepts were cool. And so with the help of starting with that, we have gutted it and replaced literally everything. There are only a few transaction types that now remain from the original Quora project. And that started the development of what we were calling back then Quora 2, was what QORTAL is now. And that started in 2016. So the actual development of QORTAL started back then. And since then, it then progressed to being launched and going live in 2020. And yeah, we, it's definitely a lofty goal. We have taken the concepts of the Quora project, added a whole hell of a lot more to it, and made it so that the data is no longer stored on chain. We've added tons of other transaction types. We have basically created the magic goal that I wanted to create. And it's absolutely incredible that we have gotten this far. And since the launch in 2020, we have seen massive improvements. If you have been following since then, you can back me up on this one. Anybody in the community could see we have seen huge improvements. And all of the current developers that are working on the project have all come in as normal community members and started working on the project. So the whole community focused, community developed, community run is exactly working as it's supposed to, right? So I am very happy with that as well. But yeah, we now have a platform that is capable of, like what we're going to demonstrate today, with hosting applications, hosting websites. We started with websites only, and you could only publish the website all in a single publish, and we still have a single publish limit of 500 megabytes, so you could only publish a single 500 megabyte static website. So that was functional, but not nearly as functional as what has happened since we've launched what we call QApps, which allows you to build essentially anything you can think of.
Let me stop you there, Jason, for
API to everything.
For just a second. Let me give people how to get started here, and then we're going to get into the QApps before we get into the weeds. But folks, if you go to QORTAL.org, that's QORTAL. Now, this website just lets you download the QORTAL app. You can click join and downloads, and you can download what's called the QORTAL UI, and then that will install the node, and you can run the node. Now, if you're actually running the node, it looks like this. So this is not a regular browser. This is the QORTAL app. But if you pull up a new tab, you can choose from lots of different things here, like wallets. It's got different kind of crypto wallets here, and you can see all the different coins there. But the most important thing that we are talking about today is under QApps here. We have, with Jason's help, we've built a Brighteon app that now runs as one of the QApps, and that is actually right here. So we call it QBrighteon, and right now it's loading. It's currently loading up these two channels from Brighteon.com, but it'll be expanded to a lot more channels, and it's currently loading the videos and thumbnails from I think 2022, because it started from back in time and it's trying to catch up, ingesting all these videos. But this way, you can view Brighteon videos even if Brighteon.com doesn't function, and these videos are decentralized, peer-to-peer, uncensorable. So I just want to give that summary, Jason, before you continue.
For sure. And there are a few things right now. So the network at this very moment is not running nearly as well as it should be. We have multiple things that we're rolling out starting on Sunday that will start to address some of the things that are going on right now that we've come into since we did get significant growth since the last time we had our chat, right?
Oh, so yeah, tell us about those numbers, Jason.
Yeah, so when we talked last, I believe the numbers on, so we have an Explorer called explorer.quartalnodes.live, and that Explorer has a number. And that number is calculated by taking every single IP address that ever connects to that node, filtering out any duplicate connections from that IP address, and keeping a record of only the IP addresses that have been the same for longer than 7 days, right? So it's not really an accurate number, but it does give you a decent idea of how many nodes are existing on the network that are unique to an IP address, right? So when we talked last, that number was, I think, 12,500, something like that. It has more than doubled since then. Today, it is over 25,800. And that is actually probably about half of what the actual number of nodes is, because most people are running more than one node on their IP address, right? So calculating just one for each IP is definitely not accurate. And this also doesn't take into consideration IP addresses that change or anything like that. So this number is like a minimum number, right? So yeah.
25,000 at minimum. There are 25,000 people running QORTAL nodes right now.
Yes, yeah. 25,000 individual IP addresses that are currently running QORTAL nodes at least. Right?
Okay. And so, and it's important for people to understand that in peer-to-peer decentralized systems, of course, there are no central servers. And the more nodes run, the better the performance for fetching videos or fetching content.
In most cases, yeah. So there's one case right now. So on everything else on QORTAL, so on the QORTAL data network, on our full node blockchain, which our full node database starts at only 3.5 gigabytes, which is absolutely insane. There's no other full node that I've ever seen that is actually anywhere near that size, right? To actually have the entirety of the chain for over 3 years in 3.5 gigabytes to start
that's remarkable. Yeah.
Is awesome, right? So we've got that nailed down. That will scale basically to infinity. We have the QORTAL data network, which scales to infinity as well. There's only one aspect which right now will not scale perfectly in its current form, and that is what's causing the turbulence, I would say, that's on the network right now, and that is the minting system. Now, when the minting system was designed, it was designed to be a more fair distribution, and it was every single block, every user shares a percentage of the block reward based on their previous time contributed towards being a minter, right? And it's a great concept, and it works quite well. However, when we get now to where we have over 7,500 minters on a regular basis, then you have to process 7,500 payments every single block, which is every minute, and it starts to cause a little bit of an issue on certain things on the network, right? So the network's still functioning. It's not like it's having problems where it's not working. It's just not working optimally right now. And so what we're doing is a couple different things. We're going to focus on improving that. That's the last thing that we have to focus on, and then QORTAL will be able to scale to infinity. We have multiple plans already in place. I have not talked about this yet with the community, so I'm not going to quite announce it on this show, but we do have quite a few plans in place now that we just came up with over the last couple weeks to address this. The first stage of that will take place hopefully on Sunday. We're doing a test of the new UI and the new core today, and of last day or two that it was finished on the master branch, and we're testing that. So we're hopefully going to get the first stage of this rolled out on Sunday if everything goes well. If not, it'll be a little bit after that. But then we have longer term plans over the next month or two to get the minting system completely scalable. And it's going to require a few little changes people will have to be aware of, but it's still going to function exactly the same overall, and it should be, just fine. But that's the last thing we've got to do to get it to the point where I will be super happy and feel like QORTAL can scale 10, 100, 1,000 times and be just fine. So when we're talking about specifically QApps, right, on QDN, when you publish anything, so in this case, when we're talking about videos, you publish a video, right? Your node becomes the first peer for that video. Anyone else who then is running a QORTAL node and decides to access the information that you've published becomes a peer for it as well, right? So the more people that actually watch the videos on QBrighteon that are running QORTAL nodes, the more copies of those videos exist by default. Now, obviously, people can delete them after they watch them or whatever, right? But by default, it gets bigger, stronger, faster, more anonymous, more redundant as time goes on and more people utilize it. And now what we're doing right now with one single publishing node right now, doing all of the publishing of these videos, is just getting the data out there initially. And so when you're first using this, taking into account both the issues that I mentioned and the fact that there's currently only one node that for sure has all of the videos, it's going to take a little while sometimes for the videos to load the first time.
Jason, let me mention, so by the time there's a delay between the day we're recording and when this actually gets published, even it could be a couple of weeks. So by that time, we're going to have our node running with the video ingestion as well. So, and our node is in a data center, and so it's got multiple fiber connections and so on. So it should be a lot faster at that time, plus your node. But the thing is, it is important for people to understand the expectation that it's going to be slower right now than just popping on a YouTube. It's slower at first, and also you're publishing thousands of videos from years past. Whereas
And
normally,
another thing to know too is that when you're playing videos from things like YouTube and so forth, you're streaming those videos. On QORTAL, we do not have the streaming functionality built yet, so you have to download the entirety of the video before it'll play. But once you've downloaded it once, replaying it is instant, right? So that's another thing to keep in mind is if you play a video one time, now you have a copy of that video too. So now you can go and actually take this copy and do whatever you want with it as well. So there's a lot of cool things that come along with it. And once you have watched a video once, it's going to be instant from that point on. Whether you're browsing through the video and going one point to another, whatever, it's going to work perfectly from that point on. And so that's another cool thing to know is that when you play it, now you have a copy of it too, right? And not only are you helping the network get it out there further, now you have a copy of it. So if something else happens, whatever else happens, you have a copy of that if you want to show it to anybody or whatever, right? So it's a really cool way to do all these things. And we keep all of these things on QDN encrypted and chunked when it's in transit. So you have to grab it in encrypted chunked form, build it, then display it. So it's not the same thing at all as just streaming a video from a single centralized server.
Right, and if anybody is looking or sniffing the traffic in between peers, all they're going to see is encrypted. They're not going to be able to see anything. So privacy is there, and it's censorship proof because again, you can't just take down some central server farm somewhere and take this out because it's replicated across the nodes.
And there are nodes on the network called data supernodes that synchronize the entirety of the network. And now those nodes obviously won't be able to do this forever. The plan is to add more settings to the data supernode setting so that you can say, synchronize all data under this size, or synchronize all data except for this name and this name and this name, right? So that you can have more control over it. But right now, if you set storage policy all, your node will attempt to synchronize all of the data on QDN. And so right now we do have nodes that are set up that way. And since we do not have, hundreds and thousands of terabytes of data right now, there are multiple nodes on the network that can manage all of the data. So when we are publishing this, there are nodes that are out there grabbing this data, whether they're watching the videos or not, just to help relay it. So that is also a thing too. And of course, anyone who follows the channel names, so not the Brighteon Q app name, not Q Brighteon, but any of the channel names, so in this case, Brighteon TV and Health Ranger Report, if they follow, which is a setting in the QORTAL UI, you can just click follow, or you can search a name and click follow. If you do that, then you're automatically picking up any data that name publishes and helping relay that data too. So if you have people in your community who say, run a data center or just happen to have a computer with a couple terabytes sitting around doing nothing, they can set that up to be a QORTAL node, follow whatever channels that they like on QBrighteon, and then they're literally helping to support the platform, which is also really cool.
Makes sense. Okay, Todd, jump in.
Is there any other incentive for somebody to do that, to run a node or a super node other than helping the network?
Yep.
So at the very moment, no. You can, of course, be a minter, which means that you are helping to process transactions on the network and getting rewarded right now every block for doing that, right? So that is the incentive for running a node overall. In the future, what we do have planned is what we're calling the data market. So right now we have the names market, where you can grab a name, you can build a whole Q app or a website or whatever you want on that name. Then you can sell that name, and you can sell everything you've built on it all at once to someone else who can then pick up where you left off without changing any sort of servers or domain or any of that, right? So it's really cool. We have the names market now. In the future, the plan is to have the data market, where you'll be able to, if you like, rent basically space from existing nodes, and those nodes will have a rating where you can see like how much overall uptime they have or whatever that we end up measuring, because it all has to be measured by the node itself submitting things, so we'll have to figure that out. But there will be a rating. You'll be able to choose which node you would like, how much data they have available, and you can say rent this node, and you can rent multiple other nodes to have multiple copies of your data if you like. Now, this is also going to come into play a lot more when we get more private data. Right now, we have only QMail, which is an email-like messaging platform that's built as a Q app. That's the only Q app right now that utilizes any type of private data. So when we get more private data, the data market will come into play a lot there as well, because say I have, hundreds of thousands of pictures or whatever that my wife has taken over the past, 10 years, right? She wants to make sure those are all backed up. Now, I could take and publish all those in a Q app focused on doing something like that when we get one in the near future. And you'll be able to then say, I want at least 2 of these nodes to have a redundant copy of this private data for me. Now, of course, they won't be able to read the data, so that's why the data market makes sense. They get paid to host this data because they can't make use of it. Now, with public data, you could still pay a node to have another copy of it if you have, like in this case, large amounts of data, right? And you want to make sure you have another node running that, and you don't want to set up the node yourself or whatever, you can have another node do that, and we'll have a market set up for that where you can then rent a node and pay that node in court. Since we have automated transactions, which is called the AT system, you can find more about that at ciyam.org/AT. That is the development team that actually built the language that runs this. The AT system allows you to do automatic transactions. So you can take and say, I want this amount of quartz to be paid automatically to this node, and this node for doing this on the data market. And then the node can also see that you've started an AT that has the ability to fund them for a certain amount of time. So then we can say, if this AT exists, then you're going to continue hosting the data, right? So we'll get all of that built in the future, but yes, there will be more incentive, basically, is the quick answer.
All right, hold on. Let me jump in, because we got to remember our audience are not all coders, Jason.
Right.
So you tend to get really technical. I want to talk about applications. Now, you mentioned data storage. That's a great application, but overall, what I think people need to remember is that QORTAL is not run by a corporation with a bunch of central servers. This is decentralized, so it's censorship proof, it's distributed. No one can go in and change the content, including you or your developers. You can't change it.
No.
You can't censor it.
Nope.
And it would exist.
The only people who can censor anything are the people running the node, and they can only censor for themselves.
Right.
That's it.
Exactly.
So nobody can censor anything on anyone else's behalf, including the developers.
And so also this project, even if you were to, for whatever reason, abandon the project tomorrow and walk away, I know you're not intending to do that, but if you did, the project would still continue to live because it's code running on nodes and the content is still there, and it still works.
And very soon we will also have QORTAL Git, which will allow us to put our code, the repo that's currently on GitHub, on QDN as well. So then we'll literally have a copy of QORTAL on QORTAL, which will be really cool. And this will include a Git repo for every single name that exists on QDN. So not just our name, but everyone's name will be able to have a Git repo tied to it too, which means we're going to be able to rescue a lot of open source projects from the clutches of Microsoft and GitHub.
Oh, right? Wow. So really cool. Now, speaking of open source, I do also want to announce that with your help, Jason, we funded the development of QORTAL with your team on QORTAL, and yet with your help, we want to release it as open source code. So that's going to be happening. And where will that open source code be posted? Will that be GitHub or on QORTAL?
Yeah, initially we'll probably just do it on a Git repo. I don't know which Git repo we'll use initially, but we'll figure that out. We'll do it on GitHub initially because that's where we're doing it for now. I mean, we could do it on GitLab, or I could run my own GitLab server, but I don't see the point, because soon enough we're going to be able to do this on top of QDN, and that's what I'm really waiting for. So for now, all of the Git repos that we're using, I'm just considering temporary.
Okay.
So yes, we will make it available there. Also, any Q app that you access as someone running a QORTAL node, you have the source code by default anyway. So it's really, we're kind of forcing everyone to do open source everything. It's really not possible to build a closed sourced app on QORTAL unless you like obfuscate the code or whatever. But we're like literally trying to force everyone to do everything the right way, which means all open source, all decentralized, all the way, right?
But the point of this, and then I want Todd to chime in on this, is that, okay, the slogan of this show, Decentralized TV, is building the infrastructure of human freedom, right? And we believe in that slogan. And this is an example of us doing this, which is, okay, we're building Brighteon on QORTAL with your help, Jason. I mean, you and your team built it. We just funded it.
Right.
It works. I'm looking at it right now. It's running. And we're giving away the source code so that anybody else who wants to have this same app on QORTAL can take our source code, copy and paste the name, change the name, whatever, change the look and feel of it, change the logos, and then boom, you're a publisher of videos on QORTAL with your app. And we encourage that.
Yep. That's what the whole nature of QORTAL is all about, right? Like, we want everyone to take the source, do whatever they want with it, and use it, right? Like, that's the whole idea. We want this all to be decentralized, the whole world, right?
Right.
That's what we're doing. So yeah, that's it.
All right. So Todd, your comments. I know this. It always gets real technical with Jason, but you see the app. No, it's okay. But the applications here are enormous.
They are, but I'd like to play the angel's advocate here. Okay.
Of course.
So if I understand this correctly, I have a YouTube channel. I can publish any content onto QORTAL and it won't be censored. You can't stop it, right?
Yep.
Okay. So now I'm sorry to do this, but I've been thinking a lot about this because I've been listening to a lot of your discussions on YouTube. But let's talk child trafficking and child porn as the topic.
That's one of the main things that everyone brings up. So yeah.
Yeah. So with QORTAL being censorship free, isn't there the risk of bad actors subsuming QORTAL and using this new internet as a means to spread true evil?
So yeah, there's that risk with anything, right? Like anything that exists, like the internet right now, is it used only by good people for good things? No. Is cash used only by good people for good things? No, right? So any tool can be used either for something good or not, right?
Okay.
But beautiful thing with QORTAL is that unless you specifically seek out this information, you're not going to accidentally run across it. You have to specifically seek out things that you want to see on QORTAL. There's no way that any data will get to your node unless you said, data, come to my node. That's
right.
it. So also, in the future, we do plan to have, I guess you could say, a group of people, right? A group of the community will be basically monitoring all the things that they can find on QDN. Now, this is going to get exponentially larger as time goes on, and they'll have more and more to manage and watch and whatever, right? But the plan is to have a group of people that pays attention to all the things that are on QORTAL. Then they can assign like a rating system to the existing content, and then you can have a directory that says, okay, this is content that's acceptable for this age range or whatever, right? And then you can have lists that get created. Right now we already have these lists that you can make, either a follow list or a block list, right? So we can have these lists that are customized. Then you can make those available to the community, and you can say, okay, if you would like to block all content that could potentially be this, then here's a list for that. And you say, okay, install that list on my node. Boom. You never will ever see any of that data. It'll be automatically blocked. You won't even process transactions from the accounts that own those names. So,
but you have to choose to follow those like that recommendation. Like if you want to, like that's not going to be imposed automatically on people. They would have to choose to say, okay, right. I want to have all like G-rated
material. Every single thing on QORTAL, you have to choose.
Right.
Nothing is ever imposed on you. Yeah.
Okay. But the way the internet works right now and the way that industry works is people create that content and then it's encrypted and then somebody buys it who is seeking it. Like I imagine Hunter Biden would be an appropriate customer for.
I think he's buying coke on the dark web with Monero.
Okay.
Actually, I think that's what.
I heard he had quite a few pictures on his computer too.
I think he took those. I think those were pictures of him carrying out acts.
Right.
It was like selfies with whoever underage,
Yeah.
but whatever.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the point being is, I get it. So it's not going to be something that someone would go search for, but see, this is what, I want people to understand is decentralization has all kinds of positives, amazing positives, which is why we should embrace it. But it's not all necessarily going to be for good. But if you then step across a line to make sure that certain things can't be published, then you get into the world of censorship. And QORTAL wants to stay away from that, correct?
Yeah, we will never prevent anyone from publishing anything. That's just not how the system works. It can't really work that way. So yeah.
Understood. I just wanted to be clear, because if I was thinking of that, I know other people are too. Where do you draw the line, or can you?
But I think Jason's point is really critical and also very accurate here. I mean, there are, on the internet right now, I mean, Facebook has been used for like child trafficking.
Right.
It still is right now. And TikTok and some would argue that
That's right.
Netflix has like teen porn on it.
Yeah.
And that's a centralized system.
Yes.
I mean, there are hospitals where surgeons mutilate children right now, and it's protected by the state. So it's like, if you don't want prostitutes in your car, don't drive down to 2nd Street and recruit prostitutes. It's like, just stay out of that area, man.
So what I like to say is that decentralization, real decentralization, like what QORTAL has, right? It literally puts all of the power back into the hands of the people. Now, for good or for bad, right? It's up to you. It's all your decisions that are going to determine the outcome that you end up with on your QORTAL node. And now this is the same as it should be in the world, right? Like everyone should be responsible for what they do and not for what other people do, and shouldn't be punished for what other people do and all that, right? And the only way that you can accomplish that is by having a system like QORTAL wherein you are the only one that has that responsibility, right? And so that's really what it comes down to. We, as the community of QORTAL, can take certain steps to attempt to assist people in preventing, accidentally somehow stumbling across things like that, and prevent it by blocking it ahead of time or whatever on their node. But we cannot say, that we're going to magically make it, not possible for any of these things to happen. It's just not possible for us to do that. Right. And that's the whole point of the platform, is that it isn't possible for us to do that.
Yeah. No. Good.
Well,
Thank you.
And it's like cash too. It's funny because you hear these attacks on privacy crypto, saying, well, gosh, Monero might be used for illegal acts. Well, what about $100 bills? I mean, if you knew,
number one, as far as I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Still number one. Yeah.
You might never touch a $100 bill if you knew where half of them had been before. It's like, whoa, or what kind of cocaine is on those $100 bills.
Yeah.
But nobody comes to you and rifles through your wallet and says, oh, well, these $100 were used somewhere else to commit these heinous acts. It's like, no, these are supposed to be fungible. Now it's my $100. I don't know where it went before. What adventures this $100 bill has been on that we don't want to know about. But anyway,
instead of where's Waldo, it's where's Benjamin.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually had one, a dollar bill that had that where's George.com or something on it, and I guess you could go and track where that dollar had been. I was like,
really?
Oh, right.
I never looked at it, but yeah, I was like, that's interesting.
Okay.
That's funny.
Yeah, very much so. But the bottom line is what we're doing with you, Jason, and thank you for working with us on this. You've done an outstanding job on this. And this is really just a demonstration. It's a functioning app. It's Brighteon on QORTAL, but it also shows people what's possible.
Just wait when we get to version 2. We're going to allow people to be able to publish. You'll have the whole publishing ability inside of the app too.
Right.
And I'm also going to be releasing the scripts that I wrote to do the automatic publishing. And they have also been added so that now you can take an existing YouTube channel or an existing channel on Unite.live or whatever and run it through these scripts. And it'll do exactly what it's doing for Brighteon. Grab them, pull them down, sanitize them, make them perfect for QORTAL, and republish on QDN for any Q app. Right?
See,
so it'll
that's
be
huge. Right. So people could just port their entire YouTube channel over into QORTAL using those scripts.
Yep.
And this open source code. Or they could do it with a Rumble channel.
Right. Yeah. I'm planning on making it support basically all of the main video platforms that people use. So then I can say, oh, you've got a channel over here. Why don't you make that channel completely decentralized? And they'll be able to do it on either the Brighteon app or whatever other video app that ends up existing on QORTAL, as you can make it publish with any identifier you want. And the identifier is what ties it to whatever app. So you could say publish it for QBlog that already exists, or for QTube when that exists, or for QBrighteon. It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then also we're talking to you about the next project, which is, it's just a concept right now, but it's an emergency broadcast system on QORTAL. And so, this was an idea that I've pitched to you, Jason. I know you're thinking about how this might come together, but we want to be able to communicate with people in an emergency where the internet kill switch has already been activated, and let's say no web domains are functioning, DNS is down, right? And we just want to be able to get emergency messages out to people through the QORTAL apps, which are still working because TCP/IP is working, IP addresses are still working, but DNS is down. And so if we can put a message in there, it could be a photo, audio, short video, text, whatever, and just have it ripple out through all the nodes and people can see it. And that's all possible with QORTAL, correct?
Oh, yeah. Yep. And we've already actually designed the entire concept. We have it all figured out to where it's going to be even cooler than what you wanted there. So, it's going to be awesome. And so, in my opinion, so when people say, oh, the internet kill switch, exactly what you mentioned, where they're going to kill DNS, is much more likely, in my opinion, than the whole internet actually not working, right? Because they need it just as much as we do.
That's right.
And so they're not going to kill the internet. They're just going to kill the domains that they don't like, or basically all the domains except for the ones that they run, right?
Exactly.
They can do that because they control the DNS. But QORTAL doesn't care about DNS. And in the longer term future, we're going to have mesh network connectivity as well. So even if they do pull the larger kill switch and kill the entire connection, we will be able to establish P2P connectivity for that. Now, obviously, we need the network to be a little bit larger before that will actually be something that's actually functional, and some longer range wireless technologies, yada, yada, yada. But that is also in the longer term plan for QORTAL. We want to be a completely separate infrastructure, right, in every possible way.
Right. And the bottom line is that people can participate in this right now today by downloading QORTAL and installing QORTAL and using the QBrighteon app. I mean, just simply running it actually strengthens and makes the whole network more redundant right now. And it creates, it sets you into motion to where you can receive the emergency broadcast when that app is ready. So there's nothing to lose. And it's free to run, I should mention, right? I mean, there's no cost.
You can even get paid to run it if you become a minter.
That's true.
So yeah, there's no reason not to, unless you like really hate the idea of decentralization. That's really the only thing I can think
of. Well, what do you think, Todd? I mean, are you running QORTAL yet? You got to start it if you haven't.
I'm not. I have not yet. Spirit of full disclosure. Jason, I have a good bit of experience working with a fair launch private crypto that is entirely dependent on community raised funds. And how on earth do you achieve the funding to invent an entirely new internet? I always like asking that question about funding because it's hard.
Yeah, it's extremely hard. And we have gotten by basically on bare bones. The only way that QORTAL was able to be made live at all is because the developers simply believed in the project. That's awesome. Literally it. We did not have any sort of large funding. I've not gotten any sort of large investments from anyone right? And currently the total of 6 million something quartz are only valued at around 22 to 30 cents each, which makes the entire market cap, what, 1.2 million, right? So I'm not getting anything from that either. And yeah, it's extremely difficult to do these things. We are, always looking for the next angel who's going to come in and say, yo, can we help by supporting the developers or whatever, right? And a couple people have given, a decent amount of chunks of some cash to help with the development, and that's been distributed out through the dev fund to the developers who are actually working on the code. But yeah, we have not had any sort of large investments. I've had multiple people who have come and tried to buy the technology, but no. And it was actually built so that that's not even possible. And it's already open and out there anyway. So now that it's not possible at all. But before it was launched, there were multiple people who tried to either buy me or buy the entire concept and own it and control it and probably turn it into something centralized, right? But we did not allow that to
That would be
happen.
stupid.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Jason.
But yeah, it's hard. Yeah.
Jason, let me ask then, if there's somebody who's watching who might be a bit philanthropic, I destroyed that word.
Right.
How would they get in touch with you? How would they go about supporting you, perhaps?
So yeah, I have multiple ways to get in touch with me. Telegram, I am active on literally all day, every day. You can check out QORTAL.com, which is my company's website, and supporting QORTAL also supports QORTAL because my company donates 20% of all of its profits, and actually it's been a lot more than that, to the development of QORTAL, because our company is literally focused on building hardware for QORTAL, right?
Let me just spell that for people though. QORTAL, CROWETIC for those.
Yeah, CROWETIC.
And that's your Telegram handle?
Yep, QORTAL. I'm basically QORTAL everywhere, right? On QChat, Qmail. If you want to install QORTAL, the same thing, QORTAL. Telegram, t.me/QORTAL, or QORTAL.com. I have multiple other contact methods listed on the bottom of QORTAL.com as well. So yeah, that would be
great.
There's multiple ways.
So Mike and I invite you to come to Decentralized TV, our Telegram channel, and join so that if people have questions after watching that, they can find you there very easily as well, because I think you're going to get a lot of interest.
True. And
Awesome.
Also, Jason builds some pretty awesome Linux laptops, and he will accept payment in crypto.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's the whole idea of the starting of the QORTAL company, right? It was me, my brother, and another partner who's no longer with the company, but we started the company to build open source decentralized hardware to go along with the open source decentralized software that is QORTAL, right? And so what I've started with, and we've done a few different things, right? We started with building a router device that got the hardware actually got discontinued before we could even launch it. Then we started with the Raspberry Pi 4 based QORTAL device that is built to be a QORTAL node that can run in the corner of the room, taking 5 volts of power and basically costing you nothing, and running a QORTAL node there and minting for you, whatever, right? So we've got that. And then I've started now by taking existing laptops and basically gutting them of all the nonsense and installing Linux, configuring them to look and feel exactly like Windows. I'm also working on a Mac-like environment, which is a little bit more difficult because there's some that are just not perfect, and I want things to be perfect. So, but yeah, we have a clone basically of Windows look and feel so that you have a device that you can just jump in and use, but it's Linux-based, so it's open source, much more secure. And so, yeah, I've got those available too for anyone who's looking for a new computer.
And they find those on your website? That's where they would would buy those?
Yes.
Okay.
Right now, I've only got a couple listed because, like I said, I was behind on actually building hardware right now because I've been doing a lot of this development. But yeah, I normally try to keep at least 8 to 10 laptops listed. They sell pretty quickly, so that's good. And I
want to put dibs on one. Okay, just we can talk privately, but I really want to support it that way. And if it's out of the box, I can plug it in and boom, I'm in business.
I've got one. Yeah, Jason built one for me. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I couldn't believe that it was Linux. Actually.
Wow. It performs really, really well. Like all of my builds, I literally run an exact clone on all of my normal computers. Like, so I use them for everything. So it's not just like me saying, use this computer for everything, and I don't use it for everything. I use the exact same copy of the installation that I set up on the machines that I sell for all of my work, for everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're
Wow.
literally replacements. Yeah.
Wow, good stuff. Okay, so look, bottom line here, folks, is go to QORTAL.org, download the software, which is also a node, and it's your interface to it. And right now, you do have to go to the Q apps. Well, actually, let me just show this process.
Yeah, well, actually, I wanted to show you something too, because you were doing it that way, and I'm like, yeah, that's one way to do it. But go back to the new tab page real quick.
Yeah, please. Yeah, you walk me through it. It's your platform. Okay, I'm at a new tab.
So there, the button there, it says Add New Plugin. It looks like a little plus. At the bottom
right here. Add new plugin.
Yeah. Click that. Select an option. Go ahead and select Q app.
Okay, Q app.
Yep. Then type the name QBrighteon exactly how it's spelled. So, well, I don't even know if that matters because I think we made it so it searches it. But yeah, add that. We'll see if it matters because you didn't type it with a capital B.
Oh, but there we go.
See if it opens.
QBrighteon.
If not, then we'll need to.
There. Oh, sure enough, man, that is easier.
That's it. So now when you go back to the new tab page, now you've got your new tab page customized the way that you want. And now what we can do also is you can even remove the existing plugins there that you don't want to see or that you don't use or whatever. Clicking that little X will remove it. Or you can add your own. So you can customize this entire page. And the whole idea in the longer term future is that the QORTAL UI and the QORTAL core will basically be completely white labeled. You'll be able to make it look and feel exactly the way that you want, focus on whichever Q apps that you use the most or whatever, right? So yeah, this is the start of that where you'll be able to, you are able to right now take and put whichever Q apps you use on your new tab page. So then you open that new tab page and you see, QBrighteon, the other Brighteon app that we're going to put together, Qblog or Qmail or whatever that you actually use right there. So you don't have to go searching through the Q apps and search for QBrighteon or whatever.
Okay.
It's all just right there. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I guess I was doing it the hard way, but
yeah. That's relatively new. That what didn't exist when we first started talking. So you were the original way, which is now made a lot more simple. And we are obviously going to continue to add more usability features and make everything easier as time goes on. And like what you said with the installation of the UI, right now you only have to install the UI. You don't need to install the core because the UI installs the core for you.
True.
And that didn't used to be a thing. You used to have to install them both separately. And if you were on a Mac, there were like terminal commands involved and stuff. And it was a lot more difficult for people. But now you install this one app and it does the rest for you. Just say yes and it does it. So it's just going to keep getting easier as time goes on.
So the filmmakers that I talk to, they love this because they want to inject their films and documentaries into this. And so I told them, look, the easiest way is we could just set up a channel on Brighteon and they can just put it on Brighteon and then we'll have that Brighteon channel, push through QORTAL, through the QBrighteon app. But they could also, if they wanted to, they could just take the source code and build their own and then they could make their movies immortal. They can never be censored.
And it's surprisingly simple to do that because when you're building a Q app, you don't have to focus on any of the difficult parts. You don't have to worry about the server, the environment. You don't have to worry about the authentication.
Logins.
You don't have to worry about any of the hard parts. You literally just build the way you want the app to look, and that's it. So if you have an app that you're starting with, you can literally just take it, clone it, change the name, and change the identifier that it looks for, and that's basically it. And then you've got your own video platform.
I know, exactly. That's for developers watching, I'm sure they realize this, but it's so much easier to build on this decentralized platform. Because again, you don't have to worry about authentication and you're abstracted from any of the hardware layers or anything like that. You don't have to worry. You don't talk to like a MySQL database in your code, for example. You don't have to worry about it.
Nope. And what we're going to demonstrate some more of the functionality too, because people always get to the point where they're like, well, my website has this or that database and it's necessary and right? So now with the next Q app that the core team is building, the core team, I use that very loosely because it's just, community developers who've come in and formed a group. But we are building what we're calling Q Shop, which is essentially, for lack of a better way to explain it, a decentralized version of Amazon, where you'll be able to come in and create a shop, list your items for sale, and sell them on QORTAL for either Quort or any of the other supported listed coins that we have support for now, right? And so that will be really cool, and that will give some people an idea of how you can do a database, because it will use a different way of doing a database to keep track of the items that are there in the store.
Wow.
And so we're kind of reteaching developers how to do things so that they can build things that are compatible with the way that QDN functions.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. I can't wait for that, because I would like to buy products and also then list some products and just help demonstrate that this works.
Mm-hmm.
So Todd, I mean, think about it. You know, not just this interview here with Jason, but the previous interview that we just did.
Right.
The solutions that are available right now are just mind-blowing. How is it that the whole world doesn't know about this yet?
I think it's deliberately being kind of put on the back burner. In fact, one of our developers recently has been looking at anytime he makes a comment on YouTube and uses the word QORTAL, that comment gets deleted. Anytime
really?
he goes back and he'll edit it and just make QORTAL like spaced out and make it spelled all weird, it stays. So I think we're kind of shadow banned already in multiple different platforms, and I've seen this on a couple different platforms. So, I mean, it's not an accident in some regard, I don't think. Yeah.
I think you're right.
Right.
Wow.
Well, congrats on that.
Well, yeah.
In shadow ban.
We're doing something right then, right?
That's right. You're over the target. Good.
Wow.
No, this is outstanding.
Okay, so one more thing. Then let me ask you, I think Todd might want to ask this, but I'll ask it, about quartz, which is your coin. And this was a burning question I had. I've used quartz. I've purchased some to use them to buy names on your registered names part. But aside from that, what else can you do with quartz?
So yeah, that's a good question. Quort is, you can think of it as basically the coin that powers anything that's native to QORTAL. So the name registration is right now obviously the main and most obvious use case for it, and that will be massively used in the future, because you'll be able to build an entire company on a name with a website, its domain, all of the data, public, private, all of the followers, right, and an app and a Git repo, all on that one name. Then you can sell that name to someone else, like selling the entire company and its entire digital presence all at once, right? And they pick it up, they don't have to change anything. No server changes, no DNS, nothing, right? So that's really, really cool, and that the names market will obviously be a huge use case for Quort, because Quort has to be the coin used for those purchases. Also, anything that is powered by a QORTAL AT, which right now the primary use case for the ATs is the trade portal. So that's why all of the trade pairs are 2 quarts. It's not just because, you know, it's the primary coin, so we're using it as the base pair. No, it's because the technology that's necessary to do a real trustless layer 1 to layer 1 cross-chain trade with nobody in between, right? That technology is only on the QORTAL chain. So anything that's native to QORTAL. So the ATs, another AT that we're going to have is called Crowdfund with a Q. That is powered by the AT system, and obviously so that needs to be used with Quort too. So all of the crowd funds that get put up will be funded in Quort, because the Quort can be in an AT and distributed from the AT, right? So all of those types of things are all managed by Quartz. Also, if you're looking to publish on QDN and you don't want to wait for what we call the MemPow, which is a memory-based proof of work, that basically just delays the transaction so that people are not able to spam as easily, right? So you can publish on QDN for free using the MemPow as a fee, right? Or you can use what we call instant publish, which takes a fraction of Quort to publish on QDN without having to deal with the MemPow.
So it's like a gas fee.
Right. It'll delay you. The MemPow delays your publishing by anywhere from 30 seconds to up to a couple minutes. So if you want to publish a bunch of data and you want it to go quickly, using the instant publish feature and paying a fraction of Quort to do that makes sense, right? So there are a lot of things right now. Yes, the primary one is going to be names. And that's going to be probably a primary one for the foreseeable future, because like I said, there's a lot you can do with the names, and they're a huge function of QORTAL. So But anything that is native to QORTAL will need QORT in one way or another in regard to any sort of transactions taking place, especially if you want those transactions to be instant, right? I'm in regard to publishing stuff on QDN. But yeah, there are a lot of use cases for QORTAL, or for QORT, sorry. And another thing that I wanted to point out is that everyone always brings up. So yes, QORT is what's called a transparent chain, but QORTAL is also 100% decentralized, which means that there's no way to take and tie an identity, or a real identity, right, to any sort of address on QORTAL, right? So it's like the ideal Bitcoin, right? If Bitcoin never had any exchanges that are taking and putting identities to the addresses, then it would never have been anything but as anonymous as you want it to be.
Right. There's no KYC onboarding for QORTAL.
There's no way to do that, right? So there's no company that's tying to identities to addresses, right? So in the future, we do plan to have basically a completely anonymous transaction type as well. But having the chain being transparent the way that it is necessary for multiple other things, such as the names and all the stuff that goes along with everything else on QORTAL. So the chain being transparent, yes, it does mean that you can trace from one address to another the transactions that have taken place. But that does not mean that you can figure out who owns that address, right? And that's the key thing when we're talking about this. So it's literally still as anonymous as you want it to be. And also, what's really cool is when you do a cross-chain trade to get into QORT, whether you're doing it from Pirate Chain, which is an anonymous coin, or from Litecoin, which is obviously a transparent chain, you cannot trace the transaction on the foreign chain once it has gone through a real cross-chain trade to get to QORT, right? If you try to trace it from that point, good luck. Like once it goes into the method that's utilized to do the cross-chain trade, there's only guesswork after that. So it basically also cleans the foreign coins when you do a cross-chain trade to QORT. So that's something to keep in mind as well.
And it's also very easy to set up a new account on QORTAL. You don't have to enter a phone number. You don't even have to have an email address in order to set up an account. And people can also run QORTAL via Tor, or they could run it on a VPN. They could use an IP address from somewhere else. So yeah, it is pretty easy to maintain your privacy using it.
You can be as anonymous as you want to be. Now, obviously, the name Crowetic on QORTAL, everybody knows that that's me. So I'm like one of the only ones who's like obviously not anonymous on the chain. But, you know, I do have accounts that no one knows about, right? Like I always am going to create more than just one account because that's what you do. But yeah, you can be as anonymous as you want to be on the QORTAL network. And it's very simple to do that.
I'm going to create an account called Full Court Press. Spelled with a Q. Okay.
There's so many fun things you can do with the Q and using it as either a P backwards or like just any combination of things. There's so many cool names that people have come up with using the Q.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
And we owned that Q before QAnon, guys. So it's not QAnon. We actually had that Q well before this whole Q thing became a thing. So
yeah, that's a good point. In case someone's wondering, is this all about QAnon? No.
I hate that question.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. In the interest of time, then we're going to wrap this up pretty soon. But Todd, let me ask you to chime in. Anything burning on your mind about since we have Jason here right now?
Yeah, Jason. My question is, what trading pairs do you have for QORT?
So all of the supported coins that you saw in the wallets section of QORTAL all have a trade pair with QORT on the trade portal. Now, a few things to keep in mind with the trade portal is that, for one, you can only see listed QORT cells, and there's a reason for that, and it's because the QORT that is listed for sale has to be in an AT because it's an actually trustless, true cross-chain trade. So we will get to the point in the future. I have some ideas on how we can do buy orders. Right now, we do have auto buy, which is a buy order, but it's not one that's public. Right? So it's only shown to the person who created it, which a lot of people might like that even better, right? So you can right now trade with Litecoin, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Digibyte, Ravencoin, and Pirate Chain. Those 6
Okay.
other supported coins, you can trade to QORT, and then obviously you can sell that QORT for any other. So, and we will in the future also have ways to say, automatically trade from this foreign coin to this one using the trade portal, and it'll just handle the rest of the stuff automatically. But there's a lot that comes along with that that's not quite developed yet. So,
Do you anticipate adding other privacy coins? Because Mike
Absolutely.
and I are
So
really pro.
there's only one requirement. Well, there's a couple actually. So the one main technical requirement is that the coin being listed to be supported has the technology to be able to lock coins, the equivalent of what's called a P2SH on Bitcoin and Bitcoin clones. It needs to be able to do that or something similar to that where you can lock coins until a specific time, right? Or till whatever, right? So you need to be able to lock coins. The other thing is from this point on, we're working on getting the QORTAL voting system built. Once that gets built, that will actually be what determines a lot of different things on the network. One of those things is which new coins get supported. So the community will literally have a direct say in which coins get supported. Now, until this point, we've been using kind of a loose vote between QChat and Telegram and Discord, and just trying to get a general idea of what the community feels. But we are, looking to build the QORTAL voting system, which then utilizes the levels that get assigned to you as you're minting to give you a vote weight, so that there's no weight based on monetary contribution. So you cannot buy influence with your votes, right? So you'll be able to vote, and then that vote will determine what happens. Now, until we get there, if there is another coin that we really, really just must support, and the community is all gung-ho about it, it is possible. We can support basically any coin as long as it has the ability to do those locking transactions. If it cannot do that, then we just have to wait until it can, right? And that's why we do not currently have support for Monero. As far as I know, that technology does not exist still for Monero. So that is why we don't have that support yet. We would have had that already. But yeah, so we can support basically any coin as long as that one thing exists on the tech side and the community is for it.
Okay, well that's great to know. And yeah, I would vote for Monero because you need a privacy coin in there.
Well, Pirate Chain is a privacy coin, so we do have the support of that, and but we do not have Monero support. So
yeah, okay, great. Well, there are some great coins out there, and we'll keep you posted, Jason, on what we find from our interviews. And I know Firo's working on a new. Lelantis Spark is supposed to be out later this year.
I heard some good things about that.
Yeah, us too. But we should ask Ruben about whether that supports coin locking during transactions for cross-chain swaps. That would be interesting.
So a lot of people they seem to think that they know what a cross-chain trade is, but in my experience, what I've seen is that a lot of them are utilizing methods that are either not fully trustless, or have some other component that I consider centralized or just not correct, right? So the way that we do it, there's no trusted component, there's no anything, right? It's literally direct from one chain to another without any nonsense in between. And there's no way that you can lose coin in any way, right? So if we can't do it in that way, then we can't do it because it's only going to be done correctly.
Yeah, and you're not taking custody of the coins in the middle of this either.
There is no such thing as
custody.
that.
Yeah.
Right. It's direct from one party to another, one chain to another.
Wow. Okay, excellent. All right, well, then what we're going to do, Jason, we're going to wrap up this segment of the show today with you, and I want to thank you for your time. This has been really fascinating. This is a major announcement to have QBrighteon now working on QORTAL, thanks to you and your team. And more interesting things yet to come, plus the open source code release at some point. So we just encourage people to stay tuned and
do that at any time, whenever you're ready. So
okay, all right, yeah. Well, we got a few. We need to get our nodes set up for the ingestion of the videos, which is underway right now, and then we'll talk to you about that. We'll get the source code release probably within the next 30 days, and then we'll just keep people posted about all this. We hope that we're not causing too many troubles for you by hammering your servers and everything
it's a great problem to have, right? Like, so yeah, the nodes right now are maybe not, maintaining as many connections as they usually would in certain cases, and certain things are a little slower than they should be right now, but that's a good problem to have. And we will be making improvements to address that, and then we'll just move on. We've had much worse issues in the past than this. So, and this is caused for a good reason. And, the chain is still functioning, and there's no forking going on, anything like that. So I'm happy. We just need to make a few improvements to address the scalability of the minting system specifically. Then I think we're basically scalable to infinity, which would be amazing. So, yeah.
Okay, to infinity and beyond, we'll say. Right. All right. Well, thank you, Jason. Great to have you on today, and we love having you on the show. So you're always welcome back. All right. Take care, Jason. And then,
Thanks.
Yeah. So the website, folks, again, is QORTAL.org, QORTAL.org, and then we will return, Todd and I, with our discussion segment after this quick break. Join the official discussion channel for this show on Telegram at t.me/decentralizedtv, where you can ask questions or offer suggestions of who we should interview next. Also be sure to subscribe to the email newsletter on decentralized.tv, where you'll be alerted about 1 day in advance of each new upcoming episode, before it gets published. On decentralized.tv, you'll also find links to our video channels and social media channels across all platforms, including Brighteon, Rumble, BitChute, Twitter, Truth Social, and more. Check it all out at decentralized.tv. All right, welcome back. And now Todd and I will give you our reaction to that interview with Jason Crowe. But first, I want to plug this provider here. They have these mugs now, DTV or Decentralized TV mugs. And that website is called redpillprints.com. And they have decentralized TV gear, hats and shirts, and plus all these other shirts and different messages as well. And they do accept crypto as payment as well. So this isn't something, we don't earn any money off of this here at the show. This is just, we're giving a shout out to these folks because they're kind enough to put this together. So if you want decentralized TV mugs, this is the way to get it. So how cool is that, Todd?
And it's a great use case for crypto.
It is,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Crypto backed by coffee mugs.
Yeah, backed by T-shirts and hats and everything else. So that's cool. And we want to invite people, if you have a product or service like that is, somehow related to the show, or you think we might be interested in, you can go ahead and, of course, contact us. And in fact, Todd's putting together a new directory website. You want to tell folks about that?
Yeah, it's called decentralizeddirectory.com. And by the time whoever is watching this episode, it will certainly be up, not in its full glory. We're working on that hard behind the scenes, but it is going to be a destination where people can do a few things. If you are a business or service provider, for example, what you just shared, come on in and register your business. And what I am ultimately looking for are different buckets of decentralization, decentralized power, right? Decentralized food, etc. And then I want to be able to vet the best companies and be able to do the homework for visitors to the site to be able to come in and know that if they're featured in there, it's kid tested, mother approved, Todd approved, if you will. Because I'm really, really learning through these interviews, Mike, is how many people are truly out there and dedicated to freedom and decentralization. So I think it's going to be a place where it's going to be a compilation of many. And also, you shared with me, you encouraged me because you were getting a lot of inquiries from, different individuals in your operating reality, just saying, look, I want to be able to get out of fiat. I want to be able to get into private crypto. I want to be able to get into different assets. And so, you above all are busier than anyone I've ever met. and so you asked me and I said, absolutely, but I'll provide a service to folks and be able to speak with you, discuss your operating reality and put together a consulting game plan for you.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited about it. And if you are watching this, please go and get on our email list so that we can actually keep you updated. But it's one of those things that's like clay on the table. We're molding it right now, and it's gonna be awesome once our vision, is released.
Absolutely. So yeah, bottom line. So decentralizeddirectory.com. That's your website, Todd. You're going to be putting together a directory of different providers and solutions in all these different areas. And I hope you include all the guests that we've had on the show, kind of their projects as well, because I think you should have a category that's just like decentralized, social media platforms like Bastion.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to have a place on there to where it's actually going to feature all of our videos. So
that'd be great.
For example, in the decentralized food, of course, we're going to have Jim
Gale.
Gale. Yeah. I was going to say Jim Galt, but it's Galt's Landing, but Jim Gale, foodforestabundance.com.
Right.
So there's going to be information about him, but also right there, you'll be able to, within the site, be able to watch the interview that we did together.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, that's a great interview.
It's going to be very cool.
We've done some pretty amazing interviews already. I'm just so thrilled that we launched this, Todd. It's been amazing. But let me also then mention that we have a sponsor for today. I'm not going to forget that. And the sponsor is the Satellite Phone Store. And you can find them at sat123.com. So it's emergency backup communications, works anywhere on the planet, including deserts and oceans and every continent. And you can also use Bivy sticks here, which are two-way satellite text messaging devices. So when the cell towers go down, you can still get messages out to people and receive messages. And by the way, they also have satellite-based bandwidth devices that create a hotspot, and you can connect your laptop to it. So you can actually, you could get messages out via QORTAL or Bastion. You could even buy and sell crypto using satellites, right? Just if you have this technology. So, bandwidth through space, not a bad gig. All right. So then getting to our guest today.
Yeah.
We don't have to make this section crazy long or anything because this is the second time we've spoken with him and it all makes sense. But what's your overall reaction, Todd, to this announcement of QORTAL on QORTAL?
There are those who talk and those who do, and what I couldn't help but to think is thinking about some community projects that I've been involved with and just any crypto project out there. And you have a lot of people who are, investing in these projects, buying the coins, and they're sitting there in the trading rooms and they're just like, when moon, right? But then you have someone like Jason, who he's really, really using just all of his intellect to be able to add value to freedom, add value to decentralization. So it's not just about buy and hodl, right? Courts. This is about he's grinding it. I asked him the question on funding, and it's hard when you're a community based project.
Yeah.
And you're totally dependent. And so I just admire him, his grit, and what he has accomplished, because he did it. He achieved his BHAG, and it's only going to get hairier.
Yeah, that's funny. He's not a guy who sits around like collecting other people's money and living off their money and just, empty talk, right? He's not that guy. Yeah. He's a guy who's building things. He's writing code, and his people are writing code, and he's not wealthy. He's not living a wealthy lifestyle. He's not out there being a braggadocious, like, I'm going to rule the world with my Bitcoin type of guy. He's actually building apps, building solutions that help promote human freedom. And this is why he's been such an important person here. That I've interviewed him, before, and then now to have him on the show, because I think he perfectly aligns with what we are hoping to accomplish with this show, which is building the infrastructure of human freedom.
Right.
Now, sure, granted, there are a lot of little tweaks and things that need to happen, and he openly talks about those things.
Yeah.
You know, issues with scalability and minting, and you know, right now the QORTAL app, the user experience is a lot of slowness at the moment, but that's going to get resolved. You know,
sure it is.
We built the infrastructure, and now the infrastructure is going to get smoothed out as more and more people use it. And I see a day, frankly, where the whole like .com approach to publishing is obsolete.
Right.
That day's coming.
Yeah. Well, and congrats to both of you for pulling this off. I mean, I know that you and your team invested a lot of time and capital too, you know, to actually bring this to fruition. So, and I just admire the fact that you did it knowing that you want to give back, and it's open source code, and anybody is free to be able to take it, clone it, modify it, and create their own. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I will say it was because it's so easy to code in QORTAL relative to other environments. This didn't cost that much.
Right.
In fact, I spent a lot more money on the fiat tipping system that I trashed.
Right.
That I abandoned.
By 10x.
Yeah, right. Because ultimately realized I don't want to be part of any kind of fiat currency system. And I don't want to collect tax forms from people and report to the IRS and all this garbage. I'm like, no, I'm not working for the IRS. So that's why we enabled the crypto tipping system that now functions on Brighteon.com.
Yes.
Which is great.
4 coins and more coming.
Yep.
And
we don't take custody. We don't have server logs of the tips.
You don't. and thus you can't censor anybody for kind of like Robinhood did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Robinhood. Yeah, they seized
tell the story
accounts.
real quick. Tell the story real quick.
Well, yeah, thanks for bringing that up, because we got to give credit to Kraken for actually doing the right thing. So as part of, you know, one of my big goals has been to get my post-tax personal savings completely out of the fiat currency banking system and to transition it into only 3 things, which is gold and silver and crypto. And in order to do that, well, and ammo, I guess, you know, got to always have ammo to protect the gold, silver, and crypto.
And food.
Yeah, right. True. That's a given. But all right, so gold and silver and copper and lead and crypto and food. But what? So in order to do this, you know, I signed up at a lot of different platforms to try to purchase crypto with fiat. Yeah. And Robinhood was one of those platforms. Gemini, and then previously it was Coinbase, and then I also signed up with Kraken. Every one of those platforms censored me. They deplatformed me at first. Yeah. And, you know, Kraken came back and they realized it was a mistake, and they apologized and they reinstated. And ever since, it's been smooth sailing on Kraken, and I love the Kraken interface. So, and you can buy Monero on Kraken too, which is awesome. So I've been using Kraken for everything. Gemini I've given up on. Weeks later, they have no customer service at all. It's non-existent as far as I can tell. And then Robinhood.
Did you send money to Gemini? So are they?
Yeah, but I was able to transfer the money out.
Oh, okay.
In fiat, but not in crypto. So they would let me do fiat. So I got the fiat money out, and then I just sent it over to Kraken and bought coins on Kraken. So, screw Gemini. And then Robinhood. A similar thing was happening for almost 4 weeks now, where they wouldn't let me buy crypto, and the reason was because I bought crypto. So if you use Robinhood to buy assets, then you're considered suspicious or something, which is crazy because that's their entire business. It's like if you had a taxi cab, and every time somebody got into your car, you were like, "What are you doing in my car?" You know, like that's Robinhood. Like, what are you buying assets for here on Robinhood? We're going to freeze your account. So I tried to transfer off the fiat. I had like $1,200 in fiat on Robinhood because I hadn't really put that much on there, you know, because I was testing it out. And I tried to transfer the $1,200 out of there, and they froze it and seized it. And not only did they seize it, they said that so you can't use your account for 7 to 10 business days, and you're not allowed to contact customer support during this time while we review your account. So wait a minute.
Unbelievable.
You steal my money. Basically, they're saying, we took your money, you, get out the door. You know, like that's pretty much what Robinhood is saying.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we robbed you. Now get the out. Like, that's Robinhood.
Yeah.
So I'm telling everybody about how much Robinhood sucks.
Yep.
And I don't expect to get the $1,200 back ever, but if I do, that'll be a miracle. But that's why we all need to use crypto, frankly, you know.
And Kraken.
And Kraken has been working great.
Yeah.
And they're not stealing my money.
Now, what is the cliche? It's not the problem, it's how the problem is handled. And Kraken was amazing to work with.
Well, yeah, they solved the problem. And, you know, Robinhood, you know, the slogan is supposed to be stealing from the rich and giving to the poor.
Yeah.
Instead, they stole from the health ranger and kept it for themselves. Like, that's
somebody turn that into a meme, please.
That's what Robinhood has done.
Yes.
I've got the screenshots, you know?
Man,
it's crazy.
I hope you hammer them on Twitter.
Yeah, I will. But, you know, JP Morgan Chase shut off Dr. Joseph Mercola and his CFO. And they even said to his CFO, your family members are never allowed to use Chase ever. Even like your children can't even have a bank account.
Your progeny, your fifth generation.
I mean, what is it with these fiat banks? They're just control freaks, man.
Wow. Yeah. Yes. Get out of fiat.
Get out of fiat. Get out of the online. Like, you know, you can go on to fidelity.com and you can buy Bitcoin that they have custody of.
Right.
Why would you do that?
Yeah. It's an IOU Chuck E. Cheese ticket.
It's an IOU. And in the case of Robinhood, it's an IO you.
Right.
It's like they can just say they don't owe you anything.
Gosh, that's amazing. And you know, I mean, you're the health ranger. You know, $1,200 is gonna turn your world upside down, but some people it could.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, that's rent for a lot of people.
Yeah. So not cool, Robinhood.
No.
I've never used you, and I'm really glad. Jeez.
Yeah, Robinhood stealing from the health ranger to give to themselves. I feel like I'm having a little Nigel Farage moment here, you know, being debanked. But it's kind of expected. Interestingly, Chase has not canceled my accounts at this point.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering if you're going to get a message from Robinhood saying that your goats cannot open up an account either.
Yeah, my goats. Yeah, maybe the goats will be the only creatures that are allowed to open accounts on Robinhood.
That's true.
And they'll have to launch like a goat coin or something. I don't know. Anyway, okay. So as far as getting back to QORTAL and just wrapping this up, I mean, we're 100% pro QORTAL, right? I mean, what's not to like?
What's not to like? No,
it's free to use. It's decentralized. It's censorship proof, and you can get great Brighteon videos on there now. So
yeah. No, thumbs up. I mean, all appendages.
Yeah. Crowe and his team are rocking it, and I think that QORTAL has a really strong future.
I do too.
You know, the thing is, you know, we don't recommend coins or speculation on coins or anything. I did purchase some small amount of quartz in order to use it and buy some names. I bought Health Ranger as a name, and it only cost like 2 quartz or something. It was like 50 cents.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm a little bit concerned that Jason QORTAL doesn't have a strong revenue model. Like, it seems like he could charge more for the names, perhaps, but those quartz right now are 25 cents.
Yeah.
I don't give financial advice, but it seems like a heck of a bargain to me. I mean,
well, it seems to me there's going to be some smart people out there that are going, who's to stop someone from going out and getting Amazon or IBM or, you know,
I guess nothing. I don't know.
Maybe
Nothing.
they're already taken. I don't know. But if this becomes the thing, the BHAG, he envisions, then those are going to be very important, not URLs. You wouldn't call them URL, which just names to be able to have. So, I mean, goodness gracious, when I tried to figure out decentralized directory.com, I really kind of like decentralizednow.com, but it's like $5,000 freaking dollars for that because somebody got everything with decentralized in it. Decentralized donkeys, I swear to God, he's probably sitting on it. Yeah, I
noticed that too when we were trying to register decentralized.tv. Yeah, it was not an easy domain to
so
find.
Somebody smart is going to go in there and they're going to make an investment in lots of names, and the price is right on with the courts right now. So
I guess so. Somebody is going to do that. I guess they're going to go register like Pepsi and Facebook, or maybe somebody already has. I don't know.
Maybe
we'll see.
But we planted the seed, so for you aspirational folks out there who, look, it's risk reward, right? But it seems like kind of low risk. But
I don't know. I don't know. It seems kind of sketchy to register other people's trademarks, though.
Yeah, there may be some legality about it, but I don't know because it's decentralized and
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, good question. I'm just glad I got Health Ranger before somebody else picked it up.
Right.
Started impersonating me.
Right.
No, it's not me, I swear.
Robin Hood will go in and pick it up.
Right. No, I'm going to register Robin Hood on QORTAL.
Yeah.
Start walking around saying I'm going to take all your money.
Oh, perfect. Use case.
Yep.
We just found a use case.
Okay, there we go. All right. So anything else, Todd, or we wrapped it up today?
I think we wrapped it up. Those were folks may not know, but we are scheduled so far out. We're having to double up on interviews during the day. And today we had 2 amazing interviews.
Yeah, we did.
And really grateful for the guests who came on and educated us.
Yeah, and we're opening up a Thursday coming up soon for an additional interview. That's going to be in studio, so you'll join remotely, but we'll have the guest here. And then it looks like we're going to be inching towards 2 interview days a week.
Yes. With
maybe 2 interviews each day. So
2 times 2,
possibly 4 a week.
That's great.
Is that crazy. Possible? I don't know.
I think it's possible. I think it's doable. I think we'll get there. But and you know what's you do know because you and your team are scheduling it, but we're scheduled so far out. It's not for a lack of being able to get quality people to come on the show. It's they're coming out of the woodwork. So I really think those who are paying attention and that they're hanging on every one of our interviews, they're going to be the ones that are going to, see the future because we're bringing the future to you.
Clearly, people who watch this show are going to have a major advantage.
Yes.
In getting into crypto, picking which project is best suited for them, protecting their wallets and balances, establishing privacy, being uncensorable, being unconfiscatable. No doubt about it. I shamelessly recommend this show to anybody who asks me questions in those areas. Like, what can I do to be more private? Just go watch everything on decentralized.tv, frankly, and then come back.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I am grateful you asked me to be your co-host long ago. And I fast forward a year from today and cannot imagine what a lineup we will have had.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
So
we're going to have at least 100 interviews in a year, if not 150 plus.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's even
great.
if we take off, Christmas and Thanksgiving, which I haven't done in years, but I might do it this year. We'll see.
I don't know. That's overrated.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Todd. This has been a great show. And I want to thank everybody for watching. Be sure to check out all the episodes at decentralized.tv and participate in our chat on Telegram, also Decentralized TV, which will forward you to, I think, Decentralized TV chat. But you'll be able to find us on decentralized.tv and spread the word about the website. We appreciate all your support. And we've got amazing interviews coming up in the weeks ahead. So don't miss a single one of them. I'm Mike Adams, the founder of Brighteon.com, and thank you for watching today. Take care, everybody.
Cheers.
All right, and we're happy to announce a new sponsoring partner, which is AbovePhone.com. And if you put in /DTV, then we'll get credit for that here at Decentralized TV. So it's AbovePhone.com/DTV. Above Phone is a de-Googled phone provider that has an ecosystem of applications that are fantastic. This is a way to have a mobile device. It works, of course, with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and everything. And you can put a data SIM card in it, and so you can get your bandwidth from the cell towers if you want. And you can also buy those SIM cards from Above Phone using Monero, by the way. So you can have privacy crypto to purchase the SIM cards. So there's nothing that ties you to the phone or the data or the cell towers. How cool is that, Todd?
Wow.
I mean, we finally found a provider.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So this is just kind of a junior varsity question here. With that phone, are you getting a new phone number, or are you porting over the number that you've always had? How does that work?
Okay, so the phone is, of course, it's brand new hardware. You purchase the phone, which are Google hardware phones from the Above Phone company, which is all pro-liberty. I mean, they're all on board with everything we do. And then you have a SIM card in it, which passes data back and forth to the cell towers. But you don't have an SMS or a phone. Rather, there's an app that lets you set up a phone number, and you have calling and receiving. It functions normally, but it's using data instead of using the actual phone protocols that the cell towers use. Now, the good news why this is great is because you are not going to be wrapped up in some kind of geofencing warrant, because normally, like if you're standing around and then somebody robs a bank a block away, well, they can issue a geofencing warrant, and they can say, let's go talk to everybody, let's visit everybody's home who was, within 100 feet of the bank robbery, based on your phone number and your phone checking in with the cell tower and registering as a phone. So with these de-Googled phones from Above Phone, they don't register as phones. They register as data devices, which is common for things like trackers and security cameras and what have you. So those data devices don't get swept up in the geofencing warrants.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Right. And then in addition, there's nothing about this phone that's tied to your identity, right? So your name, your social security number, your credit card, nothing is tied to that, especially if you paid using crypto, obviously. Privacy crypto, even better. So this is the way to be anonymous and protect your privacy while actually having a mobile phone device. Now, it runs virtually all the apps you need, but not 100%, because it doesn't use the Google Play Store, obviously. It's running the Graphene OS, but a specialized version of Graphene with all these apps on top of it. I mean, I've used Graphene phones. I'm running Graphene right here. I've been doing this for years. I de-Googled a while ago. I don't know if it's been years, but it was a while ago. And I can run everything that I need to run, like Signal or weather apps or, mapping. I don't run Google Maps, obviously. Like Google has no place.
Can you get crypto wallets on that phone?
Absolutely. I've been running all the crypto wallets. I've been running Epic Wallet. I've been running Cake Wallet. I've been running, Beam Wallet. I've been running Monero wallets. I've been running all the crypto.
Oh, that's awesome.
You can run
That's even
Samurai
better
on there if you want. Yeah. So you don't need Google.
And perfect.
You should de-Google your life, because Google's spying on you all the time.
Right.
And so are iPhones, by the way. So again, go to AbovePhone.com/DTV, and it'll take you to this website here, AbovePhone.com, and you can get their hardware, you can get their SIM cards, you can even just take your existing hardware if you want and use their SIM cards. And that gives you a level of privacy. But the best way is to get their Google Pixel hardware that's been de-Googled with their SIM cards that you purchase with crypto. And then that's the whole package. Then you are truly private, and you cannot be easily tracked like you can with your normal spy device.
Wow.
So cool stuff.
And last question.
Yeah.
Then is there like a monthly fee that's associated with, like, I know with my setup, I have a lot of daughters. So there's 5 of us on the plan. And so every month my wireless bill is pretty healthy. You know?
Okay. Yeah. Well, so you can use the hardware without paying any monthly fees, but if you want to use the apps that have a phone number for you, there's a small monthly fee associated with that, but that's optional. You don't have to run that.
Okay.
The other thing is the SIM data cards you pay per gigabyte.
Okay.
Right. So it just depends on how much data you want to use, or whether you watch videos on your phone all day through the cell towers. But just switch over to Wi-Fi when you're home and you're just using your Wi-Fi, so you're not being charged for that data. So it's actually a lot less expensive than using a regular phone.
It sounds like it.
And it's a lot more private, and you have total control over it as well.
I'm ordering.
Yeah.
Serious.
It's pretty cool. All right, so folks, if you want to decentralize your mobile phone, this is the answer, and you can help support the show, by the way, because this is a sponsoring partner. So go to abovephone.com/DTV and check out what they have to offer, and I think you'll really enjoy it, and it'll revolutionize your life, and you can probably sleep better at night knowing you're not being constantly tracked. So, all right, there you go, Above Phone.
Love it.
Very cool. We love to promote businesses that are accepting crypto and helping to spread the word about decentralized living. And one of those is a company called redpillprints.com. And if you go to redpillprints.com/DTV, then you're going to get this selection of hats and shirts and things I'm showing on my screen right now, and mugs, and it looks like a hoodie and everything. And I've also got some samples on my desk here as well to show you what this is. Now, we don't earn anything on this, by the way. This is not a paid sponsorship or even an affiliate deal. It's just that this is a great company that makes some awesome swag and shirts with amazing messages and so on. They're out of Canada, and they've been supporting Liberty for a long time. And we just want to give them a hand here because they agreed to make these prints for us, and they shipped us some to me and Todd as well. And Todd, in fact, you were talking with the co-owner over there, weren't you?
Yeah. Baylin. I believe it's Baylin. She is such a nice person. She called over the weekend. We had a good chat. She sent several shirts, and we went back and forth, and I wanted a little more ink density on them. And so this is a new one that arrived today.
Cool.
That just looks absolutely amazing. And she's such a sweetheart. She's the mother of 4, everyone. And what I love about her is she started Red Pill Prints, she and her husband, because her husband was fired from his job during this COVID nonsense because he wouldn't take the jab. Wow. And so they have been just, 4 kids, and he gets fired because he wouldn't take the jab, but it was the right decision.
Yeah.
So let's support Red Pill Prints, and let's just buy some good products and wear the DTV with pride, but let's support these folks. I mean, we don't earn anything from it. As a matter of fact, I'm coaching her. My gosh, everyone, she wanted to price these things to where she only had a $2 margin. And I'm like, no, please, at least give yourself $5 more
than $2 on it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, she's so sensitive about the quality and about the pricing. Let's just support her, and they accept crypto.
Yeah, that's what's really cool. Oh, and did I tell you, Todd, by the way, remember how I said on our show that I was only going to make donations in crypto from here forward,
right?
And privacy crypto in particular.
Yeah.
And so I had a guest on the show that was representing some people, and this guest was doing good work, and then they introduced me to somebody who's doing good work and needed some funds, and I got them to sign up on Kraken, and then I sent them Monero because Monero is on Kraken, so they could easily convert it back and forth. So I made my first donation in Monero, and I loved it because nobody knows how much I donated or who I sent it to or where it came from, and it's nobody's business,
That's awesome, Mike.
So not only should we support retailers who accept crypto, but also I think with donations, when we want to give money to people, use privacy crypto, folks, and then keep the government's nose out of your business.
I love that.
Yeah. So anyway, okay, great hats and mugs and shirts and everything, and we're really enjoying these. We want to thank redpillprints.com. Just go to redpillprints.com/DTV to see what they have available.
Perfect.